YouTube, it is time for the top 8 grand finale and top deck list of the Meta Weekly, where we're going to start this off with Fiendsmith Ryzeal versus Pure Ryzeal. What is the best way to play Ryzeal? I thought we answered that last week. Well, we're going to try to answer it again. And also, what is the best way to counter Ryzeal? Have people further adjusted their decks to help counter Ryzeal, or is Ryzeal just going to claim it all? Now, of course, don't forget about Maliss, which is competing for the top spot. By watching as long as you can, that greatly supports these events. Are you ready? Hajime.
There can only be one winner, and you're looking at it. Let's go.
Normal the Lurry into the Requiem, which we could use the Ash to negate the effect of summon from the deck. Do we do so? Yes, we do. We have successfully eaten their Ash with the Requiem. With the Lurry already in grave, we have the Tract, which cannot add it back. So we're going to grab a Crimson Tear, which already used up our normal summon here. That is quite unfortunate. We're also going to hit them with the Droll and Lockbird if they wanted to further add from the deck within this turn, as they now just end their turn to the Droll. Off the top of the deck, we have a normal summon Sword Ryzeal, which, similar to a normal summon Lurry, is not ideal. We're going to X Ryzeal, send a Duo Drive to the graveyard to activate and search for a Node Ryzeal, as we now make our Duo Drive. Duo Drive is going to attach the Duo in grave, activate the Cross, as we now activate the Duo with the protection of the Cross being able to negate an Ash Blossom but not an Impermanence. We're going to add a Sword, and special summon the Node. Node is going to send the Plasma Hole to the graveyard to further give us more damage in the battle phase, as we now make a Ryzeal Detonator after reborning with the Node. Detonator on summon, attachment in grave, as we're now going to Magnum Hunt, banish away the Lurry. Why do we do this? You would think, do it in the battle phase. If we do it in the battle phase, it gets negated by Cross. If you do it in the main phase, you're bluffing a Nibiru. And there's no way they're going to negate a Bystial then get Nibiru'd, right? So that is the trick. At the end of the main phase, use your Bystial to bluff the Nib. Wipe away the Magnum Hunt, 3,100 to the face, further 1,600. We have no Plasma Hole lethal for a game. And Plasma Hole, while it cannot summon a Zeus, could summon a Utopic Ray Lancer. So we, in fact, protected ourselves from lethal damage with that bluffed Nibiru play, making sure it was used in the main phase. Otherwise, this duel would have been over. Now, probably still is over. Well, Max seeds the late to the party. We have a Monster Negate. We have Pop, 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 Pop again, and a Nibiru. At least 6 forms of disruption. Negate the Crimson Tear. Typhon time. Typhon turns off the Detonator. Let's swing in onto the drive. Now, it does not turn off the protection that Detonator provides. So by trying to wipe this out by battle, we very simply would just detach and we're still protected. 1-0. You know, we had a normal Lurry. We had 2 tracks in our hand. Obviously, a really bad opener. Apollo's getting banned, guys. Just stop at the copium. Imperm. Negate the Crimson Tear. We have a Call by the Grave to finger a hand trap, but the Imperm stops us. Now, let's further link this off into a Requiem. Requiem, jump off some for the deck into an Engraver. Requiem equip onto the Engraver, send 2 cards to make the Necroquip Princess. We're going to be reborning the Engraver by returning back the Crimson Tear, now making a Wave King Caesar here as we set 2 pass. Well, we couldn't special summon the Sword. We had no Ryzeal. We had the Fiendsmith in Paradise, which is pretty much a dead card here. We don't have a way to get engraved. You have to target a level 7 or higher Light Fiend you control to then do whatever it does, which we don't care because we don't control that. Thus, we just have 2 special summon negates, a finger, and that's it. Lemon, Fiendsmith is not doing very well here. Last game, we kind of bricked to the Tract and the Lurries, and now we're just ending on a Wave King Caesar. I know it's not your fault, but damn. I'm special summoning. Well, I negate special summons. You can't negate me because I don't activate because Konami said so. And also, I'm going to chain link myself from being negated by a card like Ash Blossom, and you're also now negated due to the Aggregator. So the Wave King Caesar is completely trash now, dead. Or we have Aggregator getting negated by the Call by the Grave, so it's still good for now, but it's actually still bad. We could search for a sword, special sword, still can't negate. We can make a rank 4 that destroys the Wave King Caesar. Wave King Caesar is waiting for about 3 different cards to negate. It can negate a Node, reborning from Engrave. It can negate an Ice, summoning from the deck. It can negate a plugin, reborning from Engrave. Otherwise, it's not going to be good. It's pretty good against Maliss. but really bad in the mirror match. No bueno. So even with this finger, so we have 2 more special summon negates, cannot stop the sword, as I said. Sword, search our deck for the ice. Before we normal summon ice, just deal with the Wave King Caesar. Asophiel, bounce back. Boop, goodbye. And now we can normal summon the ice, so we now have 0 disruption. Summon a star, set up the cross, as we're going to now flip up the cross before we exceed into our Duo Drive. Duo Drive on summon is going to attach the sword, ensuring that if we had an Ash Blossom, we can't use it. They'll detach to negate, just like that mate. Now, Duo Drive did not detach off of the Asophiel. We're leaving 1 material under her to maybe use later. As we further go into the Ryzeal Detonator. 7,900. Didn't we have lethal if we summoned the Ignister instead? Light Dragon Ignister is bigger, but we still have enough damage for lethal. 9,700 damage for game. Just like that, finish him. And you do got to be careful with the plug-in. Plug-in will disallow non-Xyz monsters from being able to attack. While I do think Pure is better than Fiendsmith Ryzeal, at least at the moment, this was really unfortunate for Lemon. He got really unlucky, just not a good showcase of the deck, but it was not his fault. Dimension Shifter in the draw phase. You are not going to be banishing for the rest of the turn. As we're going to start this off with the Millennium Senjin summon from the back row after activating to the back row as we just end our freaking turn. What the heck? D-Shifter? Well, we can't send anything to the grave, and so we can't Engraver Search, we can't then Lurie Reborn, so we're getting completely clapped up. Now, the Lancia states that once we tribute this, cards can no longer be banished. Gotcha. And if you had Call by the Grave, you wouldn't be able to finger it because it is getting banished instead due to the Dimension Shifter. This is fair. You floodgated me, I floodgate you. All right. You can't Triple Tactics Talent. White Rabbit is going to send to the back row a GWC as we now end our turn on nothing, as we should, right? You know, we asked for this. We do have Ash Blossom, which could have negated that Senjin summon. We chose to hold on to it. Hawkeye's like, hey, you know, we could dish it out, but we can't take it. I D-Shifter you, but I'm scooping to the Lancia. Not fair. Let's hop into game 2. We have Max C with a Call by the Grave to finger the C, and then beyond that, we have no other forms of disruption. And we got full wombo combo with the Maliss and Underground. Let's speed this up into the inevitable full turn 1 play. Chain the Max C, finger the C, as Agno does not have any other board breakers, but we do have the Opening the Spirit Gates, which may get banished on activation. Then I guess we got normal red, special red, and from the, yeah, just, you know what I say earlier, it's unskippable. Well, I mean, he has Triple Tactics Talenting, but still, you know, we don't want to be waiting out the rest of this freaking duel. Let's just hop into game number 3. We have Imperm, we have Druid Swarm, and then we have a board breaker, and then we have a play and a play. We have a play, an extender, a board break, a disruption, a disruption. This is a pretty good hand. Let's go. Well, I said we had a good hand, but it's not that good against an untargetable Quadra Monster Negate, plus a Spell and Trap card negates, and a Monster Negate with the red summoned through the Elf, and then we can Masquerena into a Little Knight double banish. That is at least 8 disruptions. Good luck. Normal Chessie, Reborn the red, Masquerena, link off with you, and then we can negate an effect to Reborn from Engrave. We're going to banish the Maliss and Mirror to banish the Chessie Cat. Sprite Carrot is negating the effect of the Maliss and Mirror, not even negating the Maliss and Underground itself. We're now going to follow up Triple Tactics Talent, go for a YOLO draw 2. That's Max C. Yep, Max C. You could have at least negated that, mate. Wow. That was something. Spright, 60 cards. So much engine in one deck. And he was still able to open up the Lancia in game 1 under those 60 freaking cards. Ice Ryzeal into the X Ryzeal, searching for a sword. Negate a monster. Pop, 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 plus negate. Negate a special summon, finger a card, engrave, imperm negate a monster on the field, Ash Blossom negate, and 11 with Nibiru. 11 forms of disruption. You freaking what, mate? 12. 12 because the Paradise is going to be sent from the deck to the grave. 12 disruptions. Believe it. And we can't super poly with a light, a fire, and a water. They need to be the same attribute. Well, my toes are up. Super poly is going to fuse up with the aggregator, which had at least 4 of those disruptions. So from 12 down to 8. 8 disruptions, mate. Aggregator, it was one of the 12 disruptions. We're going to Mirror Jade, non-target banish, imperm, negate the Mirror Jade. You still have a monster negate with the Ryzeal Cross. 12 is fine for Branded. They could play through it, yeah. This is one of the disruptions we're talking about. We're going to summon the Requiem, then summon a Crimson Tear from the deck, then send a Paradise here, waiting for a special summon to then send a card in the field to the graveyard. You lose 2 more disruptions. We're now down to 5. Mirror Jade activating. We're going to negate the effect to wipe away the field of monsters during the end phase. Triple Tactics, Thrust, Ash, negate. And now what we have left, I think we're at Called By and Nibiru should be our 2 other disruptions left, our final 2. Branded, fusion into Lubellian Searing Dragon. Activate, discard a card to fuse up as the Tragedy, also Chain Link blocks from something like a Ghost Spell potentially. The Ryzeal Cross cannot be Chain Link blocked. We have already used up our normal summon. Returning 2 cards engraved back to summon our Mirror Jade. Now, you cannot return Mirror Jade to then summon that Mirror Jade, so it's trust me, bro. I do play another one in my extra deck. Triggering the Desiree. Oh, wait, that was the 3rd one. My bad. So that is the 3rd disruption. Mirror Jade is going to be sent to the graveyard. Non-target banish with the Desiree effect. Trying to send it, so we're going to chain to that. Say goodbye to the Crimson Tear. And now, we just have Called By and Nibiru. Albion is not getting fingered as we set up a Retribution. Titan Clad is not getting fingered as we summon an Albaz to send the Albert to fuse with the opposing player's duo drive as we fingered the engrave Albaz to negate. And then we have the 1 Nibiru left, which is not usable obviously during the end phase. And that was 12 disruptions with us being down to our final 1. We burned through 11 disruptions. Some of them we fully went through them through something like a Super Poly, but that was total 12. Engraver. Return the Desiree back into the extra deck to Reborn from Engrave. Retribution can negate an effect to special summon. Spell, trap, or monster effect activate a special, so this would be something you could potentially try to negate. As we summon our Engraver mate, we're going to Requiem equip onto the Engraver, send the Lubellian Searing to the graveyard, further going into our sequence. Sequence activating, Retribution, negate the effect of special summon. And we still have Sword Ryzeal for our follow-up plays. You burn through the opponent's resources through the Fiendsmith cards, and then plan B is Ryzeal. Return 2 cards engraved back in the deck, draw 1, normal the ice off the top of the deck into an X Ryzeal, search our deck for the node. As we're going to turn these 2 bodies into a Dugaris. Special summon the Sword Ryzeal alongside the Dugaris, searching for an X Ryzeal. Special summon the Node, discarding a card to special summon it, or did we normal summon it? Node Ryzeal is going to send Nibiru to Reborn from Engrave, as we now turn these 2 bodies into a Ryzeal Detonator. The Dugaris, you should think of it as 4,200 attack on the field. It's going to double your 3,000, and then it being an additional 1,200 damage. 1-0 victory after a 12 disruption turn 1. Let's hop into game number 2. Now we're hopping into a new match, Ryzeal versus Maliss. And what happened to Branded versus Fiendsmith Ryzeal? Well, Fiendsmith Ryzeal, I guess, for game number 2, took a free win because Branded DC'd, and we do take those. Can't just reset the duel. He lagged, whatever, that's all good. Now, with this, can Ryzeal defeat Maliss without having a Lancia? Is this pure Ryzeal? Yes, it is. Begin. If we want to consider the Juristorm as a form of disruption, that will be disruption number 1. Droll and Lockbird could further disallow them from adding from the deck, but make sure we activate MTP before we droll ourselves. We could Firewall, return a monster on the field or engrave back to the hand. We could use the Apollo to negate 2 monster effects. We could use the Impulse to negate an effect to special summon. We could use the MTP to non-target banish a card in the field. We could crypt our non-target banish a card in the field. And if we really want to inflate the disruptions here, we can count the Binder's effect to banish from the graveyard as a form of disruption. Maybe 9, but it's mostly 7 if you don't count the banishes from the grave, but 9 is the ceiling. Let's see what's good. Tachyon, which will play into Droll, which will turn off our own MTP. What do we want to do here? Return back the Ash. Do we hit him with the Droll? We do. So we lose our Droll has been used, but it's going to get negated by the Call of the Grave, so the MTP is still in play. We are good. Use up their finger. Now we have 8 disruptions left, including the banish effects, X Ryzeal, Chainlink block with the aggregator onto the Apollo. Apollo's going to negate the aggregator as the X Ryzeal is now going to be searching. On the search, let's talk about this real quick. We have a Sword Ryzeal. Now, in order to special summon Sword, we have to have the X Ryzeal on the field or engrave. In order to special summon a node, we have to have the aggregator engrave. So this moment, you could choose to banish the X Ryzeal, then the Sword can't be summoned. And you could also, with the Binder, banish away the aggregator, or with the Juristorm, you could banish it to ensure that the node can't be summoned. And then the only other card you have to deal with is an Ice, which you could negate with the Apollo, then banish with MTP or Cryptor, then they scoop. Because you know that they would not be able to summon the Sword and not be able to summon the node. So it looks like we're kind of making that play. Binder, banish the aggregator. Yep. Node is dead. Node can't be special summoned. But now we got to deal with the X Ryzeal. Cryptor is coming back to, I think, banish the X Ryzeal. Then the Sword cannot be special summoned. Cryptor at a whopping 5,000 attack. Red Ransom, banish from the deck here. Cryptor is going to banish away the X Ryzeal. And now we are locked into an Ice Ryzeal normal summon play. Now, thankfully, we do have plugin, which could target a Ryzeal that's banished to help play through this, which they shouldn't have. It's a one of. So it's quite lucky for them to even have the plugin. Normal the Ice. Impulse is going to negate and destroy. But we can now summon the Sword Ryzeal. And we can't use the Juristorm because they have no monster on the field. So now we can still special summon the Sword. Gia not during the duel. What? Firewall Dragon's going to return it back to the hand to ensure that you cannot summon the Sword. But by returning back the Ice, you know it has another effect. And you're banking on them not having another Ryzeal to use the effect of special summon this card by sending a card from your hand to the grave to then special summon the Sword. EMG is going all out to deny the Sword Ryzeal, at least attempting to do so. Is it going to work? It's not. Because they're going to have a Ryzeal on the field and in the grave, and the MTP can only banish one. We're still going to banish it. We are not allowing you to have a Ryzeal on the field, but the Sword could summon due to the Ice being in grave. We messed up. We should have Juristorm banished the Ice. If we banish the Ice and then banish or do it in the same chain, then the Sword would have not been summonable. But we have too many bodies on the field, so how could we really do that? I guess we'd have to block the Binder from coming back. He did have room, though, right? He did set the MTP. He banished Binder. Instead of drawing one, he could have banished something else, which would have been that room to summon the Juristorm. If we really wanted to go in on stopping the Sword. Whoops. Looks like we had to do that. Was it really that important for the white binder to draw one card? Instead, we could have ensured that the sword Ryzeal, I mean, the plugin would have still allowed the sword to be summonable, so actually it just wouldn't have even been able to stop him. We tried our best. But we drew into the Ash with the binder. So that random draw was in fact needed. What the hell, mate? We used up everything. Both Apollos, the Firewall, Cryptor, MTP, Ash was added. We didn't use up the Jerusalem. That's the one thing we didn't use. Damn. Struggle. Really just go all in. Try to deny the sword. But no matter what they could have done, they could not have denied the sword because we had the right hand to ensure it goes through. This is going to be an interesting duel. It's going to come all completely down to luck off of what we top deck into. Of course, if he imperms the Ryzeal, that is. Guess what's on top of the deck? Droll. And your deck's not going to shuffle because the Ryzeal is going to be negated. So it's guaranteed just going to draw Droll. If we don't imperm, now he shuffles. Oh my Jesus. So now the sword specials, grab an ice, all of his turn would have been ended if we just used imperm onto that. We're going to imperm onto the Star Ryzeal. We're instead going for the Nibiru play. We do not want him to set up the Ryzeal cross. We're just going to full wipe the field into the duo drive. So instead of trying to get lucky with hopefully that the imperm stops their entire play off of just the Ryzeal, we now got him good with that Nibiru on the activation. Now this protects you from imperm or Veiler, but on the Nibiru, it is going to completely wipe it out. They're not going to be searching for anything. We do get to draw 2 off of the Maxi. So no detach, wipe the fields, draw 1, draw 2, get even triple tactics talent in addition to you. We're going for another draw 2. YOLO draw 2, come to me, Ryzeal, which cannot be special summoned. And if the token remains on the field, then the Ryzeal does not search. Normal, the White Rabbit. We did not artifact Lancia right away. We did not Maxi in the draw phase. But that's okay. We are going to cross out Designate. Is it okay? As we now chain Lancia, and now we can chain MTP. MTP. Banish the White Rabbit, which we would have not been able to do so if we used the Lancia in the draw phase alongside the Maxi. We're going to Ash Blossom, negate the MTP as the White Rabbit just resummons itself back onto the field after being banished. Now, at least the Maliss and Underground is not activatable to banish in the deck here. We passed because of the effect of Maxi. We did not want to give them a draw. So we're just good. And the Ryzeal is not going to search. He does not want this token in the field. He wants it gone. He doesn't even summon the Ryzeal because it does nothing. Holy token. I think we just won because of the token. By not having a way to deal with the token, it ensured that Ryzeal would be useless. Banish the White Rabbit with the Dormouse, summon the Chassis into a Link to Code. Wow, it's over. That's it. Dead Talents, dead Ryzeal. If this card is summoned and you control no other face-up cards except level 4/rank 4, only then can you activate to add a Fire Thunder from your deck. Say goodbye to the token. Only now the Ryzeal would be activatable here. Is this a 2-0? I'm like looking at the scores here. It is 2-0 victory. Lethal damage. Ooh, what went wrong? Damn. Begin. White Rabbit. So what would be one of the differences? I think the biggest difference would be that Fiendsmith Ryzeal, if we were to be looking at like pillars, columns of power levels, the Fiendsmith Ryzeal deck, it has a much higher level in the category of hand trap resilience. But I would say it's much weaker against Maxi and Fualos. We are going to set up the MTP into the Link Decoder, waiting on when we want to activate the Maxi. In response to the Druid Swarm is when we are going to be activating the Maxi into the Ash Blossom, negate the sea. Negate. We have now is Droll and Ash. Well, we know that Ash Blossom is going to be useless, so we're going to Droll. Droll will disallow them from making the mirror play. They're also not going to be able to draw 2 off of Chessie. and they're also not going to be drawing off of the binder. So denying them a draw 3 is going to be quite beneficial here, I believe, as they usually draw into a ton of non-engine to add on top of their total disruptions. Apollo with our double monster negates. Let's banish, summon back, Dormouse, summon, banish, chassis, summon, link 2 into the splash mage, reborn back. Further link into the white binder, banish from both players' graveyards as we GWC, banish binder, summon back, but don't draw. Ash, negate the effect to draw, mate, but we do have Apollo to negate. Nice try. Binder set our GWC, link all 3 into the Cryptor. All right, what did we accomplish? The monster negate, a non-target banish, another non-target banish, and if you want to count banishing from the graveyard with binder as a form of disruption, we could count that for a total of 4, but it's kind of 3 to 4 disruption. We don't want to normal summon the sword, we want to normal summon the ice, of course. We're going to Fool Loss in the standby phase. Now, ice it up, Apollo, negates, as we have 3 more disruption. Now this, if I were Rentos, I'd be sweating. Please don't banish my ice. I need it on field or I can't summon the sword. We literally surrender if he banishes the ice right now with the Cryptor or the MTP. He does it. All right, duel number 2, good one. Well done, let's keep on going. Send the aggregator for the Ryzeal, imperm, negates. So I do want to make sure everyone understands, of course, many of you already know this, but when you have multiple hand traps, you simply use them differently, especially Nibiru. When we had Nibiru and imperm, we didn't even think about using imperm on the Ryzeal. We wanted to combo it up with the Nibiru to make both better. Negate the Ryzeal mate. And what if we only had 1 imperm? Maybe we would save it for the duo drive. Having a second, so, you know, we could more just fluently just throw them out. We're going to turn both bodies on field into our duo drive play. Duo drive, activate, imperm, negate. We still have our normal summon ice. And with imperm engrave, the impulse negates and destroys the ice. Negate and destroy. And then Crimson Tear is just kind of chilling here. But we could turn both bodies into a moon if we kept our body on field, which we unfortunately get destroyed by the impulse. Thus, we're just passing. Ooh, we have a board break, an extender, and a play. Imperm, negate the Dormouse, and then we extend with the Gold Sark. Now, unfortunately, the board break triple tactics talent's not going to be so good here as there's nothing to turn it on. As we banish away the March Hare. March Hare, trigger here. If we activate March Hare to banish, we could chain Call by the Grave onto the Dormouse, which is going to be quite disruptive. Yep. It's like, I don't... TCT is great, but I'm seeing it be a brick in a lot of duels today. Just objectively. The people, they're getting impermed, impulse, fingered, and then TTT's just chilling. Game 3. Start off with the Gold Sark, banish from the deck our Dormouse play. Dormouse activate, we're gonna chain Fool Loss, which we of course don't draw for the Dormouse being summoned. Ash, negate the Fool Loss. So why would you chain Fool Loss at this moment? This could be tricking your opponent into thinking, I have Max C, but I wanna throw out the worst card first, see if you're gonna negate it, and then they might go, wait, he would only Fool Loss if he had Max C at this moment, so I'm not going to negate the Fool Loss so I can negate the Max C, but then you don't actually have a Max C. Negate. Always try to obfuscate the situation, always try to confuse your opponent. We have triple tactics talent. Before you rip away my impermanence, I'm going to imperm negate the Dormouse. Okay, we're gonna have the banish card, I guess, to be used as fuel for the Cryptor when it comes out during the next turn. we're just gonna summon it right away. And with that summon right away, we're gonna have the ability with the Cryptor and the MTP and the Firewall Dragon to give us a triple form of disruption backed up by the Max C. Let's get banished with the binder and set up our field. We can return a monster back from the field or grave to the hand, and we have 2 non-target banishes. Is that going to be enough? We could start with Ice normal summon, then follow up with the Sword Ryzeal. Sword Ryzeal is going to require for there to be a Ryzeal on the field or in grave. Now, while we don't have a way to negate the Ice Ryzeal, it's 2 bodies. So if we banish the Ice and whatever it's summoned, then the Sword Ryzeal is going to struggle to come out. We're going to Firewall, add Ash back to our hand. Okay, so we lose a disruption, then gain a disruption. Ash is ready to negate the Ice Ryzeal. And then, I mean, I feel this is deja vu. Weren't we in this exact scenario? We had an Ice with a sword in hand. It got banished, and then we scooped, right? Yep, that's going to happen again. Rentos, is it over? Yes, it is. End the turn this time. We didn't surrender. Wow. 12,000 damage on the field. It's, of course, at least 17,000. The Cryptor could banish itself, come back, and then attack again. 2-1 victory. EMG is tearing through the tournament, knocking out the Ryzeals left and right. Is he going to face off against Ryzeal in the grand finale again? I think it would be a 3rd time in a row. Begin. Now, among the top 4, the 2 Ryzeal players, one is Pure, the other is Fiendsmith. Fiendsmith just got knocked out. Let's summon the Ice into the Star Liege, and now we saved Imperm, and we can't use it on anything. Well, we can Imperm the Star Liege so that we can now target the Detonator later. Now, beyond that, what are our forms of disruption? We have pop, 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 and any of those pops could be a monster negate. We also have the Plasma Hole, pop. We have Imperm negate a monster, and then we have Ash to negate an interaction with the deck. 8 disruptions. Whale. Top deck of Droll, which is very good against Ryzeal, of course, when they're going first, that is. Right now, it's not so good. Ryzeal plugin is going to be reborning and adding a pop or a monster negate. As we're now going to swap Frog, return ourselves back to the hand, summon the swap Frog again, send a Frog from the deck to the grave, Ronin Totem, banish the Frog to reborn itself from in grave. As we're now going to use the Plasma Hole to pop both cards in the field, we're now down to 7 disruptions left. Ronin Totem, banish a Frog, reborn itself back. Of course, we can't Imperm. I'm just like, why are we not Imperming? We can't because they're untargetable. We're now going to Detonator, pop the Senjin. Senjin attempting to summon, not today, wiped out. We're gonna follow up the Spright starter as the Ash negates. 5 more disruption. Mate, we haven't even negated a monster effect of the cross yet. Negate a monster, pop, pop, pop. And our whole field of monsters besides the Star Liege itself was completely untargetable. Veiler, Imperm, Max C, Senjin in response, chain to Max C. We have no protection against the Max C. And I would say that is a big downside of Spright. While it is really good against hand traps, it has high hand trap resilience. The other category of Max C and Fool Loss resilience, it's quite low. Very weak, crap, garbage. Yup, we set, we pass. We could still summon a red or a carrot to negate a spell, trap, or monster. It's gonna be a monster effect that we could potentially negate. 7th Tachyon, as we're gonna add from our deck in X Ryzeal. So you could Imperm, or you could just summon the X Ryzeal Chainlink block it with the Aggregator, and then you could hold Imperm for the next turn. As so. So we don't even have to use the Imperm. Very simply, block it with the Aggregator. We don't negate Aggregator because we have to tribute off a monster to do so. Grab the sword, and we are at 0 disruption as our deck is no good against Maxi or Fua. Let's summon the Ice, summon the Star, setting up the Ryzeal Cross. We're at 4 summons. So if we have Nibiru, on the 5th summon, I could chain Nibiru, you detach, negated, no good. But then it would not be able to detach off of itself. And we are going, I mean, you know, that was quite a risky detach if we were fearing a Nibiru, but the field did not light up on the summon, so we didn't have to fear that. Also, we're under the effect of the Spright starter. Starter states that you cannot special summon for the rest of the turn, except level, rank, link to monsters, so Nibiru is not even a scenario here, but just for regular combos with Ryzeal, this is what you want to be considering on how to play around in Nibiru, potentially. Do we have a Plasma Hole in the grave? We do. We could Plasma Hole in the battle phase for lethal damage, but not even needed. 2-0. Damn. I would very much prefer for turn 2 to be more balanced without the existence of Max C and Fua loss. Because in a way, when I tell you my two main gripes with Yu-Gi-Oh! Is non-skippable cutscenes and turn 2 being imbalanced, Konami is probably going, that's why we have Max C, that's why we have Fua loss, to help make turn 2 more balanced and to end their cutscene early, right? But no, that's almost like the Super Smash Brawl randomly throwing a banana on the field and then that would screw up a bunch of tournaments, right? Are there any highlights of finals, grand finales, top tournaments, a banana peel you couldn't even disable in the freaking in-game settings, just ruining games? That's how I feel Max C is. It just ruined the game. Are you ready? Ryzeal at the bottom, Maliss at the top. These are the top two uncontested best decks, but no one really knows which deck is better. Are they equal? Do you have to factor in Lancia existing and not existing? Hajime. We're going to Max C in the draw phase, Call by the Grave, fingered that C. Not today. And beyond that, we do have our infinite impermanence. Do we use it right away on the very first summon? Do we save it for the duo drive? Some people even try to save it for a detonator, even though they could have a plugin to help protect from the impermanence. We're going to use it right away and hope we just get lucky. Do we even use the cross-out designate, whether we play it or not? We do not negate the impermanence mate because we had the follow-up Sword Ryzeal. Sword Ryzeal on someone's going to be searching for the X Ryzeal. X Ryzeal, send the aggregator to then activate to search for a node Ryzeal. As we now turn these two bodies into our duo drive. Duo drive is going to be detaching two, grabbing the Ryzeal Cross plus our Plasma Hole. Now with the Ryzeal Cross, we are not protected from monster effects yet. As we send the duo to Reborn the Ice, we do have Cross-Out Designator to help protect from a potential Nibiru before the Ryzeal Cross is turned on. As we now make the Ryzeal Detonator attach in the aggregator, we're going to use the Cross, return 2 into our draw 1. 7 Tachyon, we don't want to -1 a card from our hands. We're just going to set and pass. With this, what did we accomplish? We could imperm, negate a monster. We could Plasma Hole, pop a card in the field that's face up. We could also give the detonator additional pop. And then we have pop, 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 and negate with the aggregator mate. Up to 8 potential disruptions against a Chessie, which is not a play, and a single play with the Maliss and Underground. Well, that's not so good. We're going to attempt to banish a draw 2, eat up 1 of 8 disruptions, but you could chain detonator, then chain impermanence. It would still be negated and then not be on the field. We don't even activate the Maliss and Underground because the detonator would pop it. Plasma Hole is just going to pop it within the end phase. Well, what now? So we didn't want them to have a Bestial to potentially banish, but then I guess they could just have linked off if they wanted to. We're going to return back the Ash Blossom and grab the Ice Ryzeal on summon, activate to summon from the deck. We're going to use the Impulse to not only negate, but destroy the Ice Ryzeal. We're going to use the Ryzeal Detonator to pop the Call by the Grave in response to the Impulse, as we're not going to even care to use our Cross-Out Designate to negate the Call by the Grave. It's much better served as protection against an impermanence. Imperm, even if this detonator were to get negated by impermanence, the aggregator gives a little bit of protection against the impermanence because even while it's negated, you can detach the aggregator to try to negate another card in the field. Off the top of the deck, we have March Hare, which is in fact a play by banishing the Chessie Cap from engrave. Activate Chessie, chain the detonate to detach the node, wiping away the March Hare. If you wanted to, you could detach the aggregator here, so when the Chessie Cap comes out, you would be activating aggregator on a separate chain to ensure that it would not be able to draw 2. Or we'll just negate with the cross. Okay. And the Maliss and Underground cannot be activated because the detonator would just wipe it out. 4,700 life. Can we just end this duel? Return 2 cards engraved back to draw into an X Ryzeal, and just like that, we're going to have enough for lethal damage, 5,000 damage on the field. Can we just go to the battle phase from this? Yes, we can. Finish up the duel, taking game 1 as we now hop into 2. EMG will be going first with Maliss. There's no side deck in these events. This is it. Can't just side deck in your Lancias, side deck in Droplet potentially, or side deck in Metaltronus to try to counter Ryzeal. Let's go. Fua loss in the draw. Dormouse, banish from the deck. Ash is no good, but we have to make a minimal play due to the Fua loss. Add back the March Hare, banish from Engrave or from the hand to summon. As long as we don't summon from the deck or extra deck, we are good. As we now set up an MTP from the deck, turn all 3 into the Red Ransom. Draw 1, come to me. As we're going to have no chain link block, we could use the Ash if we wanted to. Instead, we're going to use Valor. So you have to remember, Ash has the dual purpose of being able to negate an opposing Maxi during your own turn. Now, we're going to follow up with the triple tactics talent. Look at the hand. Return back in the deck the 7th Tachyon, our only play. Off the top of the deck, we have nothing. End the turn just as we wanted, as the Ash is going to negate the MTP. Is there anything worth fingering in the end phase? Like toggle on, finger? No? Just finger? Nothing? Okay. Because I can understand not wanting to set it because MTP would banish it, but then if they activate MTP, you could just chain to it or use it. I guess we're kind of just surrendering, or we do, I don't know, man. I guess we lose that anyway. If we were to banish the Dormouse, they could still brute force us for game. Well, at least they're going to have to do it through a Fua loss, which is not too big of a deal here. Once we activate Dormouse, we boost up all our monsters by plus 600. And now, a Red Ransom plus an access code Talker, which they would only draw 1 card off of, is lethal damage. As we White Rabbit summon itself onto the field here, sends the back row our GWC. Lethaling without committing to giving them a draw under Fua loss is even better, which we could do through the GWC. As long as we have a Maliss Engraver that is banished. We do, so we're going to banish, summon, no draw for you. 0 draw, lethal damage. Let's hop into game number 3. Normal summon Sword Ryzeal, which is not ideal. We didn't have Imperm, which would ensure the triple tactics talent would not be activatable. So now we could YOLO with the TTT thanks to the Ash negating the YOLO. Draw 2 off the top of the deck. We have a 7th Tachyon, no Droll and Lockbird in sight. Wow, the Plasma Hole right away is going to wipe away 2 bodies on field. Give us another pop. As the plugin gives us another pop, we have a monster negate with the Duo Drive plus the Cross. Then we have a pop, pop, pop. And then we have a Valor and a Nibiru. It's only 9 disruptions we have to play through. As we fire off one of those 9 right away, wipe the field, now down to 8. Dormouse, activate, detonator. Wipe away the Dormouse, which does not negate, but we can negate with the Valor or the Cross. Add the Valor on top of the chain. Negate the Dormouse. It's okay. We have Maliss and Underground, a great extender play, but horrible against Detonator, so we don't even bother activating it. And just like that, going first, incredibly balanced on Yu-Gi-Oh! Love it. Unless you have Maxi or Fua loss to potentially shut off their turn completely. Let's activate Maxi. If you're going to lethal me, at least I will negate with the Cross, so you actually don't even take the Maxi challenge. Great. Amazing. Maybe you'll fear a Nibiru. We're on summon number 2, right? We're not going to play into a Nibiru. 7,900 damage. Not enough for lethal, except it is because you activated a effect of a freaking Maliss, which costs you life points. We also have Plasma Hole. Lethal damage in the battle phase. Ryzeal is now definitively the best deck, better than Maliss, right? Well, I mean, EMG knocked out a bunch of Ryzeal players. Eventually, he was going to lose to Ryzeal. It was inevitable. Top deck list of the Meta Weekly. After this event and another event that happened, without our event, Ryzeal is already tier 1, and Blue Eyes was above it, but now Ryzeal is further climbing after our event has concluded. Maliss and Ryzeal will be the sole 2 decks at tier 1 as Blue Eyes will continue to drop. It's going to drop at about tier 2 and probably stay there, as tier 1 is straight up just Ryzeal and Maliss. The tier list is a 2-week snapshot. This is only week 1, so by next week you're going to see it much more solidified in what the meta actually is. Now let's click on the decks. We have within the event 5 Ryzeal, 4 Maliss, Blue Eyes, Branded, Labyrinth, Spright, and Tenpai Dragon. Let's start off with the Tenpai. Yuma with nothing too crazy within the main deck. Droplet's pretty good against Ryzeal, more specifically, as we now see Labyrinth. Hosh Drachin, 60 card Royal Rarity. That's the main deck. Here is the extra deck. And then we have Sprites, 60 card Spright. You what, mate? Still main deck and 2 Lancey within the 60 cards, and he did open it within a duel and it helped him win. There is the extra deck for Spright. Good job, Agno. And then Blue Eyes, base G. Nothing. Oh, we have 2 Lancia in the main deck still. A Droll Knockbird for Ryzeal. Triple Tactics is also pretty good against Ryzeal. We also have Mobile X. No Lancia in sight. Lancia is dropping severely, and Maliss is very much happy about it. We have Branded. Titacon, TTK, top tier Pendulum player on Branded this week, 60 card. Heavy Storm with the full wipe off of the thrust. That was a really good duel. And here is the extra deck. And then we have the Fiend, 60 card The Fiend, super poly with the Mood Dragon play. That was nuts. It very much worked out very well against Baguska. We have Book of Eclipse in the main deck. Wild on Heavy Storm also. And then Maliss. I'll go to the top decks page for this. So we'll go to tournaments. We'll do the last week, Meta Weekly. As with Maliss, we got this. Melito in the top 16. Wait, you're not on Impulse? No Impulse for Neo Hawkeye. That's interesting. Allure, 1 Lancia for the Crossout Designate. Good job, Melito. And then Gorilla. And he, triple evenly matched in the main deck. You freaking what, mate? And main deck in a bow. And Griffin. But I don't think he ever summoned it. Yeah. You're still going to prioritize Apollo as what I believe we saw him do. And then a bow Griffin for the follow-up plays. We have Metal Tronus in the main deck. Triple Metal Tronus. That is wild. That is Neo Hawkeye. And then EMG second place. We have Triple Tactics Talent, Droll, and Lockbird. Nothing else really out of the ordinary standing out to me on first glance. But, you know, on the end of the stream, I'm very tired, so something can get past me. And then we have Ryzeal. Didn't it say there were 5? Wait, Nicky Boy. It's showing last week's Nicky Boy, so don't look at that one. Kaiba Man. Lancia in the main. 1 Lancia, and you can search it if you play the Right Xyz, which it does not look like he is playing. So he's just YOLO draw Lancia, sure. And we have Solemn Judgment, Solemn Warning, Solemn Strike in the freaking main deck. That is freaking insane. And then we only have 1 person in the top 16 playing the Ascension. 7th Ascension at 3, plus Pot D, triple Lancia. We are still hating on Maliss. Good work, Gargolo. And then we have Lemon with Fiendsmith. Fiendsmith, Lemon, no Plasma Hold, no plugin because we're playing Fiendsmith. We have Fiendsmith in Paradise. All right, we have 2 Ogre in the main deck, which we saw him draw against Blue Eyes. And then we have Rentos in the top 4. Rentos looking quite similar. We have a random Droll Lockbird in here. Yup. And then we have Kid Art first freaking place. Well done, Kid Art. Plasma Hole plugin, of course, since it's not the Fiendsmith version. We have Pot of D, Triple Tactics Talent, no 7th Ascension, Double Droll, no Lancia, Asophil in the extra deck. Good job to Kid Art. And there you go. Ryzeal Tier 1, and it's only going to be further climbing from here. And if you want to see the tournaments only filter, this is what Ryzeal is looking like. Like this. All right. Thank you very much. I'll see you on the next event. And holy moly, 1200 URCP, where Maliss is what? 1100. Ryzeal is more expensive until the Ignisters come. And then Ignisters is going to make this deck probably more expensive than Ryzeal. Next week, twitch.tv/Decade on Sunday is when the next event will be. We're back to every Sunday instead of the Monday stream we randomly did. Let's go.